Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling just completely drained, like anxious or inexplicably heavy? You went in feeling perfectly fine, but came out feeling like you're literally carrying the weight of the world. So it makes you wonder, are you carrying feelings that aren't even yours? Because if you're constantly validating everyone else's emotions at the expense of your own, well, you might be heading straight for a major burnout.
Welcome to The Explainer! I'm really excited you're hanging out with us today. Our main goal right now is to take some incredibly deep psychological concepts and transform them into a highly actionable toolkit just for you. We're going to look at the actual science and the strategies behind protecting your mental health, reclaiming your peace, and, honestly, becoming an absolute boundary boss. All right, let's dive right into this.
I want to start off by validating something absolutely crucial, and it's perfectly captured by mental health podcaster Jeremy Godwin. He says, "You don't have an unlimited supply of emotional energy to put up with nonsense and shenanigans." And it's so true, right? You can't just hand out your energy to everyone like some magical, never-ending candy dispenser. Your emotional energy is finite. It literally requires rest and recharging, and it has to be actively protected from everyday drainers if you really want to prevent total burnout.
Section 1. The Emotional Burnout Trap.
Now, to really understand this exhaustion, we kind of have to look backwards for a second. For a lot of us, this trap actually started way back in childhood. We were conditioned to be good, right? To turn that frown upside down and basically cater to the comfort of the adults around us. And that conditioning, it often creates these self-abandoning people pleasers who are absolutely terrified of rejection. Psychotherapist Terry Cole points out that these disordered boundaries are actually an automatic response. You basically observed them as the norm since birth. So to break out of this trap, we have to consciously identify our personal preferences, our limits, and our absolute deal breakers.
So how do you actually know if your boundaries are disordered and you're just soaking up way too much? Well, take a look at these signs of an emotional absorber. You might experience sudden mood drops, physical fatigue, or maybe you find yourself ruminating on a conversation for hours. But look at that last bullet point there, the high-stakes urge to be a problem solver. We often disguise this as helping, right? Putting on our superhero cape to go fix them, but it's actually projection-based helping. You're trying to fix them to reduce your own internal discomfort. Ultimately, you're just trying to control uncertainty.
Moving on to Section 2, your locus of control. Where exactly is your power?
To really master all of this, we need to understand the psychological mechanic behind why we feel so overwhelmed by other people in the first place. Developed by Julian B. Rotter back in 1954, your locus of control is exactly what it sounds like. Where do you place the control in your life? Is it internal or is it external? Now, people who operate with what's called bilocal characteristics actually handle stress the absolute best. They efficiently blend taking internal, personal responsibility for their own actions with having faith in external resources.
Let's contrast these two mindsets along Rotter's continuum for a second. An internal locus means you genuinely believe your hard work and abilities drive outcomes. But if you lean heavily toward an external locus of control, you believe outcomes are basically just a result of fate, luck, or other people. So the really crucial point here is that leaning too far into an external locus makes you a highly susceptible victim to emotional contagion. You start feeling like you have zero control over your fate, and that leads straight to stress and depression.
And Bernard Wiener's expansion of the theory brilliantly illustrates exactly how that external mindset traps us. Look at the bottom right corner of this table, attributing your circumstances to external and unstable causes, like luck or fate. When you attribute your struggles to things that are entirely outside your control and constantly changing, you're left feeling totally powerless.
Section 3. Stopping emotional absorption. It is officially time to build your shields.
First up, we really have to distinguish between empathy and permeability. Now, empathy is wonderful. It's understanding someone else's feelings. But emotional permeability, that is dangerous. That's when you walk into a room, someone is stressed out, and your nervous system actually mirrors and absorbs their chaos just so you can adapt and belong. But hear me clearly on this. You can care deeply, but you are not responsible for how other people feel or react, period.
So, to stop that permeability, here are 5 actionable ways to build emotional shields brought to us by Astute Psychology. Number 1, mentally commit to a time limit before an interaction even starts. Number 2, visualize a clear bubble around you where their negative energy just slides right off. 3, ground yourself, literally plant both feet flat on the floor. 4, clarify ownership. Tell yourself, this is theirs, it's not mine. And 5, cleanse yourself afterwards. Take 3 deep breaths or literally go wash your hands in cold water to signal to your brain that the interaction is over.
Section 4. Setting firm emotional boundaries. Let's lay down your rules of engagement.
I want you to let this powerful truth sink in for a second. Lack of boundaries invites lack of respect. It's so simple but so true. People simply cannot respect limits that they don't explicitly know exist. I mean, they aren't mind readers. Leaving things unspoken only leads to confusion and eventually a whole lot of resentment.
But obviously, we want healthy boundaries, not destructive extremes. Bad boundaries usually come in two forms. Rigid boundaries mean you just ghost people or withdraw in anger the very second you don't like something. Porous boundaries, on the other hand, mean you're a total pushover, doing all the things for all the people, giving what Terry Cole calls the insta-yes. And to avoid that highly destructive insta-yes, you've got to practice taking a 2 to 3 second pause before responding to any request. Just breathe for a second. Now, as you start setting these boundaries, you might actually encounter this interesting phenomenon called identity lag. See, you have changed. You are no longer the people pleaser or the fixer, but the relationship is still operating from an old blueprint. Some people, they'll evolve right alongside you, but others, they will kick and scream to keep you in your old role. You really have to give yourself permission to outgrow certain dynamics.
So what do you actually say in these moments? Well, here is some highly actionable boundary scripts. Remember, no is a complete sentence. You can also say something like, I'm not available to talk about this right now, or I can't take that on. Notice what isn't here? A long, drawn-out explanation. Over-explaining is really just you seeking validation from someone who might have a perceptual ceiling that prevents them from ever understanding you anyway. Honestly, sometimes silence and just walking away is the ultimate boundary.
All right, moving to section 5, rewiring your brain using positive affirmations. The very first rule of rewiring: protect your mornings like your life depends on it. Your brain is essentially a prediction machine. In the first 30 to 60 minutes that you're awake, you are setting your emotional expectations for the entire day. If you immediately jump into your phone and check messages or the news, you literally inherit the world's emotional chaos instead of priming your own nervous system.
So instead of checking your phone, use positive affirmations. Cognitive neuroscientist Dr. Caroline Leaf and rapid transformational therapist Marissa Peer have actually shown that repeating positive statements literally lowers your cortisol. It actively changes your neural connections through neuroplasticity. Because think about it, if you say something often enough, your mind turns it into absolute truth.
But here's the catch. You have to do it right, using the strict rules of brain language. Your subconscious mind takes everything totally literally. It's kind of like putting hot butter on toast. The toast cannot reject the butter, and your brain cannot reject repeated instructions. So you must do these 3 things. 1, keep it in the present tense. 2, use only positive words. Avoid things like don't or can't because the brain has to work way too hard to decode them. And 3, speak confidently.
Let's look at how this plays out in practice. A weak affirmation would be, I won't worry today. Why? Because it uses the future tense and a negative word. A powerful affirmation is, I am calm in every situation. See the difference? It is present, positive, and confident. Now, if saying I am calm makes you squirm with discomfort, that is actually a massive sign from your brain that you desperately need to repeat it in order to code it right into your reality. Wow, okay, we've covered a ton of ground today, from stopping emotional absorption all the way to speaking the strict language of the brain. So I want to leave you with this final provocative question to think about. What is one emotional boundary you need to set today? I challenge you to take immediate action. Use these scripts we talked about and really start reclaiming your peace. You've got the toolkit now, so go out there and become a boundary boss.